Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily story with a chapter from one of my novellas. Before I start today's chapter, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this book and any of my other fiction, then they're all available from all major ebook retailers. You can order the paperback and hardback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore and local library if you requested. Also, if you want the AI generated audiobook, then you can get it from selected audiobook platforms and library systems like Kobo, Spotify, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Baker & Taylor, Biblioteca and Overdrive. Now, here's today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did writing it.
Chapter 2. The 10th of March 2023. Oxford, England. Oxford University student Edward Lords sat under a massive conifer tree in the center of Trinity College, reading a fascinating new psychology paper on human perception. He had always enjoyed psychology, human behavior, and just learning in general, and he loved Oxford even more. From his little spot under the immense tree, he could admire the stunning ancient buildings of Trinity College with its stained glass windows, impressive masonry work, and just enjoy the little slice of nature in the middle of Oxford. Edward liked that it was still early March, so there was a slight bite to the air that kept a lot of other students inside, and it meant they stayed away from him, and he could just get some peace in amongst the chaos of everyday life, going to one of the world's most elitist universities. Edward watched as a cute guy wearing a full-on business suit walked through the college courtyard with his girlfriend as they laughed and kissed a little. That was probably the most physical contact he had seen between two people in public at Oxford for the past 3 years. He had always known that Oxford was a great but very snobbish place, but it seemed that kissing in outside wasn't really allowed. A person could kiss indoors or in bedrooms, but outside was a no-no. Edward didn't understand it, but as the cold wind gently howled past him, he realized it didn't really matter. In 2 months' time, his exams would be done, and he could be done of this great, wonderful place that had given him a ton of stuff. Edward had loved how he had had so much contact with world-leading experts, gotten to take part in some brilliant research, and the list of contacts he had gotten was well worth his tuition fees. Edward had loved every single second of his time here. Maybe except the odd homophobic comment, but he didn't expect anything less from a place like Oxford. And he was straight passing, so it didn't matter. He just wanted to learn and enjoy his last 2 months here. Afternoon, Ed. Edward smiled as Ivy and Claire came over to him and sat on the cold, slightly damp ground in long, beautiful black dresses. They might have been sisters, but Edward knew they were both amazing, funny, and very different people in their own right. He liked them even more because they were scholarship students like him, and their parents were poor as dirt, and yet they thrived here. Edward had to admit that Claire and Ivy probably thrived more than him, because Ivy was just scheming, and she had managed to get Claire dating one of the snobbish rich men that got all three of them a lot of social protection, power and influence. Something Edward rather liked. "You ready for the party tonight?" Ivy said. "I already have a game plan sorted out." Edward smiled and just shook his head. He couldn't actually believe Trinity College was holding a fundraiser for the silly liberal arts programs that were beyond pointless, and that Ivy had seen this as an opportunity. "He doesn't see the point," Claire said. "I mean, seriously? After knowing us for 3 great years, you still don't understand how I scheme," Ivy said. "The plan, my dear boy, is simple. There will be plenty of rich, snobbish, posh boys at the party. They will drink. We will all become more attractive and they will be laid. And I was thinking your scheming would be useful," Edward sighed. Ivy grinned. "It is useful. Claire will be there with Albert, and you and me need to get some dick too." Edward frowned and looked around to make sure no one was looking. Ivy looked a little guilty and frowned. "I'm sorry. I was just excited for you to be yourself for a night." Edward smiled weakly. "I know, and you know I love you both. It's just that in a place like this in Oxford, there is a hierarchy in a hierarchy in a hierarchy." As much as Edward hated to say it, he really hadn't been prepared for Oxford at all. All these snobbish rich men and women had been brought up from birth on which wine to choose with what dish, and how to eat, and use your 5 different forks and knives at a formal banquet. Edward hadn't. He had very quickly learnt that at Oxford the posher you were, and the richness of your parents, meant your position in the hierarchy. He was very close to the bottom. But it was also mattered how intelligent you were, and your general attitudes, including how many members of the opposite sex you slept with. Edward was helped by the intelligent, just not the sex part. And the biggest thing that Edward wasn't a fan of was that scholarship kids were instantly at the bottom of the hierarchy, and it was always best to keep it a secret as long as a person could. And definitely, don't tell anyone you're a gay scholarship kid. The only thing that protected gay students at Oxford were how much money their parents had, how their parents were, and how much money your parents sent the Conservative Party a year. Edward had almost had a heart attack when he discovered that little truth. "Please come," Ivy said. "Even if you aren't going to get some dick tonight. I certainly need some, so I need a wingman." Edward smiled because he really did love Oxford. He loved Ivy, and he did enjoy the parties because a lot of the rich, snobbish men seriously knew how to dress up nicely. They were seriously fit. "Fine, I'll go," Edward sighed, grinning. "Excellent," Joanna shouted as her and Ivy tackled him to the ground in a hug. And Edward had to admit he was looking forward to this party a lot more than he ever wanted to admit.
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteleyverse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.